Because we took a week off.
Yeah. And then I had Mike was here last week.
Yeah. So it's been like.
Go check out that podcast. It was a good podcast. Sorry, I had to give a shout out to Mike. Have you listened to that one?
No.
Do you even subscribe to our own podcast?
I should.
How are these people supposed to subscribe to our podcast if you don't subscribe to our podcast?
I do. I listen to almost all of them.
Almost?
I just am behind.
How many podcasts are we in?
22.
Okay.
Was that right?
That's good. This is 22. This is 20. That's your. What is that? No. You did this thing like you were conducting.
No, it was one of these.
Oh yeah, one of those.
The little Ross Geller there.
You're put together, except your right sock is a homeless sock. That's your left sock. Which way is our left?
What's wrong with my right one?
Oh well, I don't know. What's right with your right one?
Oh, underneath.
Yeah.
Well, they're both like that. Actually, look.
Oh, so you're well aware that you have more holes than sock itself.
No, but the thing is, they're not holes yet. They're almost a hole.
They're like the mesh netting on a window to prevent mosquitoes from flying in.
Yes, they're the screen. So they're the screen between a window and the outside. Door.
So this is your way of doing what? Like this is kind of like.
They're the only socks I could find, really.
The most breathable ones. You have a huge sock
I know,
drawer.
and they're all one pair ones.
Singles. They're all lefts or rights.
They're all singles.
And you haven't. Now, do you think they're all singles, or do you think they're all just disassembled and just?
I pride myself on the fact that when I do laundry, I always fold the socks, matching socks together, and you can vouch for that.
Sure, but I mean, I think that's any decent human being.
No, you'd be surprised.
Really?
You would be surprised.
You think there's these crazy people out there?
Animals,
these savages, these
complete savages.
These just straight away from God.
They'll just take all the socks and just like throw them in the drawer.
And then be like, you know what?
Fine.
F it.
Yeah.
Fine. I'm fine. I don't need socks.
When it's 5 a.m, you're looking for socks. Good luck.
Well, I think you're describing our kids right now.
Yep.
But we do their laundry.
Yeah. And they still end up wearing 2 different socks, even when I fold the little socks together.
I intentionally, if I go and try to find them socks and there's no rolled up socks together and in their bin there's no other pair of matching sock, I'll be like, you know what? I don't even care. Guess what? You get to wear a yellow one and a blue one.
And they don't care.
They don't care. They don't care.
I care.
Well, you care, but
I've done it. But mine is like in a ironic way when I wear unmatching socks.
Oh.
Mismatched socks.
When you wear it or when you make them wear it?
When I would wear it.
I've never seen. Oh,
the only time I ever do it is when I really can't find like when it's been a while since I've done laundry and I can only find like 2, but they're like similar enough because I always buy like a pair of socks that wow, this is a really boring podcast already.
Today on Next Door Neighbors is
we're gonna be talking about socks.
A really hot topic, socks. What kind of
Well, when I buy like a pair of socks, they're all kind of like similar but different. You know what I'm saying? They all have like the same kind of colors but a different pattern maybe each sock. So when I find 2, they are like the same kind of color but different pattern.
You wing it? And
Sometimes.
People see you doing this?
No, because I wear closed-toe shoes.
Okay, but you're okay with it, like emotionally, walking around town? I've legitimately only done that when I was working at the hospital, and I was just didn't have enough socks. Because I think it was during the summertime when it was like really hot, and I'm not gonna wear regular wool socks, so I wanted like the thin, dressy socks for breathability. And I was like, I think that legitimately in my life, I've done that as an adult maybe twice.
I'm
ashamed of that. I'm ashamed of that.
I feel like I've done it more recently than I ever have in my whole life.
Interesting. See, that bothers me. I like to be put together.
But I don't feel not put together because the socks are so close.
Yeah, but you know.
Nobody else knows, but you know.
You know, you're like, your little toesies that are in there, like, this is not our house. This is not.
They're not married. This is 2 single people walking around together.
Just walking around like barbarians. You might as well be throwing mud around and feces. That's disgusting.
Disgusting.
What else do you do that's disgusting like that?
That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
What do you eat your boogers or what else do you do?
I mean,
I love it that our boys go like, hey, and I'm not going to say their friend's name. He goes, he eats boogers. And I was like, it's disgusting. Like, yeah, we tell them too. And I was like, these kids recognize at 5 and 7 that eating boogers is disgusting.
Kind of gross. Or really gross.
I ate boogers when I was a kid.
I never did. In my entire life.
That's disgusting to me even saying that right now.
I know. But like, I can honestly say I never did because I thought it was like the most disgusting thing, and I would see like I even remember specific times like in kindergarten or first grade, I would see like other kids doing it. I'd be like, well, why are you doing that? I don't know. I must have just been raised like from the get-go of like that is disgusting because
you would have to be.
How do you?
I don't know. Nobody ever told me not to eat my boogers.
But why? What? How do you get that in your head that this is good? This is coming out of my body and I want to eat it.
Well, I think
what's next? You're gonna eat your poop?
Maybe if we don't have anything.
Digging around.
No, but I think the mindset is like maybe it's the same equivalency. It's come from the same orifice as your mouth, and so same way as you would swallow your own saliva. No, perhaps coming
not even close.
You take it at.
It's like eating your earwax. That's the same thing to me.
Okay, I see the argument. I do, but I guess it is. We both have to agree that when I stopped eating boogers, I don't remember exactly when, but there was a definitive
12?
time. Yeah,
13, 14?
31. There was a definitive time when I was like intentionally going, I shouldn't be doing this, and then I would I would practice of like, oh, you know what my transition period was? Okay, because here's the problem. It's a sticky thing on if you got good nails, like a good, a nail that it's not just like I just clipped my nails yesterday, but let's say just yesterday's nail that had that little bit, eighth of an inch, a little bit less than that of overhang. And that's like a nice shovel that gets in there.
I know, but why stick it in your mouth?
Now listen.
Do you have nowhere for it to go?
Well, that's part of the problem is how do you, because it's so sticky, how do you take it off your finger and...
You go get a...
What if you're driving? So
you hold it.
This is where, I have a better solution. This is how it got me off of eating my boogers as a kid.
You wipe it.
I did. I would wipe it on like the floor of the car. If I'm driving with my parents or something like that, I would do that. And then put it. And so if you're in the back seat, the floor.
Oh, gross.
And the thing is, their fibers on the carpet is perfect to swipe it to the side.
Then it gets rid of it.
It pulls it right off.
Gross.
Yeah, and that's how. And if you guys were wondering if you have an addiction of eating your own boogers, and you're like, how do I stop eating? That's how you quit eating your own boogers. Yeah. It's baby steps. You don't just quit cold turkey.
Yeah. You can't.
Go in your friend's car. Pick one out when they don't see it. Rub it underneath there.
That's when you do it. Never do it in your own car.
And then
friends, grandparents.
Now, once I started doing that, when I started driving my own cars and stuff like that, I basically had on the right side my own little booger section. So I would go boom, and I'd go under. It was. I remember. Do you remember my Ford Explorer? Well, I would drive with my left hand on the steering wheel, and so I'm right hand dominated, and so I do my little exploratory thing, pop it out, and then go under to the side of the dash and wipe it right there. And you know what? When I go wash my car or something like that, that's when I take the vacuum and get it all out there.
Make sure you get that spot, huh?
Yeah. You mean tell me you don't have a booger spot in the car?
No.
So what do? You're driving.
I flick.
Okay. Now, how many times? Wait, do you open the window and flick?
Yeah.
It's probably on the back side of your car.
At least it's not in my car because I go through the car wash regularly.
Okay. Now, what about the times that you can...
I'm just so much cleaner than you.
What about those times... Okay, dirty socks, mismatchy.
They're not dirty. They just got a little bit
There's just no patches on them.
They're getting close to being thrown away.
What happens when it's so sticky that when you flick it still stays on the flicking finger?
I can't remember the last time I had like a sticky one.
Really?
My nose.
Okay, we need to stop talking about this. This is disgusting. Because now you're telling me about a sticky one. Okay? I don't want to play this game anymore. Listen,
we're done.
You win, I lose. That's fine. I don't want to hear you describe things that as a sticky one. Golly. You're like, next time it's like when you crapped your pants. Like, I don't want to talk about this. How about we talk about being a better version of ourselves in the new year?
Oh, that's a good way to start because we're starting with the ugly stuff.
Okay.
And then now we're transitioning
how do we be better?
How do we be better?
So you go first. What's your... So if we're going to go on topic of like... New year, new you, like a New Year's resolution thing. What's your? Have you thought about how you could be a better spouse to me?
Yes. Okay. There's one way I can think of.
Which way is that?
Cuddle more.
Oh yeah.
Spoon.
I love spooning.
I mean, I've kind of thought about it. Have you?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Then you should start.
Why? What do you mean you kind of thought about it?
I mean, I haven't like written anything down.
No, I haven't written anything down, but I've gone over it in my mind.
Yeah. Okay, then
I put it out in the universe, if you will.
Did? How does it feel?
Feels refreshing. It's a new me.
So what's one big either accomplishment you want to like have this year, or just a goal? I guess we can call them goals.
Okay.
I don't like resolutions. I don't like that word, but I like goals because you can hit those goals, any point. Ooh.
Like you hit that mic.
Like I hit the mic.
Yeah. So, and this is specifically set aside for 2021, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is not like my 5-year goal.
Oh, no. Okay. Let's do like this year.
So I have a few of them.
I mean, we can hit the big ones too after, but we can.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we do back and forth, right? So we'll instead of me listing off a bunch of mine, I'll say one, then you say one, then I'll say another one, you say 4 more, and then I'll take a break. We'll go back. I think I even have 4. Oh wow, you feel like you're just at that spot in life where you feel like
I feel like 1 or 2.
And you're like maybe if I could like wear my socks that don't have holes and get the second pair.
That's about it.
If I can match my socks, that's my New Year's resolution, my goal. Okay.
Maybe once we get going, I'll think of some more.
You really haven't given a thought, huh?
I mean,
you're going to take your old disgusting habits into 2021.
No, I feel like I have like bigger like goals, but I don't have like specific 2021. I have a few, but I don't have like a ton of just for this year. I feel like I have more long-term goals.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you feel that way?
I do.
Or do you have both? Equal amount of both?
I think I have equal amount of both. For long term, I think I might have 1 or 2 that I can give a name to. Mm-hmm. But the rest is more of like a feeling of where I want my life to kind of look like.
Yeah. Which is a good goal too.
Yeah. Is it silly of me, by the way? I've been kind of thinking about it, and I've seen some people. I think there's some power behind the idea of like saying things out loud, or mood boards, right? Like I think there's what do they call them? Not a mood board. What do they call them? Like a motivation board or something like that. Is that what they call them?
Mm-hmm. A motivational poster? No,
not a motivational poster like a cat hanging off it, but there's like there's a name for it. Like you pin a bunch of like things that it's basically like a mood board, but it's your thing that you wake up when you look at every single
motivation.
Day. Oh yeah, like motivation board, like I said at the very beginning.
Something like that. I've never had to use one.
Never had to use one. Wow. Maybe you should put socks on it.
Are you gonna write that on with a marker on the mirror tomorrow?
The what, socks?
Don't forget to
socks. Put yeah, with red lipstick. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of thinking about this idea of like making this cork board and like pinning certain pictures on it of what I would like in my life, like 20 years from today, and it's the idea behind it's not necessarily things like, well, maybe if you wanted a Ferrari, you could put a Ferrari on there, but there's some people put like a vacation home on there. Some people will put maybe a dream car, and then maybe they'll put like somebody smiling, and like you might reference is like I want to have I want to be less stressed. That could be another thing. Like you could basically kind of put together whatever's in your head of what do you would like your life 20 years from today to be like. You pin all those things. Where do you see yourself? Mm-hmm. And I think the idea, and I used to not believe in that too much. I thought it was like a very silly thing because I was very much of like action-based kind of person. It's like, what's your goal? How do we work on achieving those goals? But I think for the small scale things, it's important to speak those out loud and plan them, strategize them, and be like, okay, in the first quarter, the first 3 months, I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. And that maybe will lead me to whatever. That's important. That's the most important part. But I also think that when you have this overall picture, I think you want to navigate. I think you want to navigate your ship, which is your life, to kind of that direction. Mm-hmm. And if you're looking at it every single day, I think subconsciously your body and your mind and whatever is kind of, without you intentionally doing it, are kind of already making those steps towards that direction.
In your head. Yeah.
In your head, right? So like, if all of a sudden you had a good quarter, made a bunch of money, you were cool, I'm gonna go get a TV and this other thing, but then if you already had this overall big picture, you might be like, I don't need a TV. What I'd like to do is start investing that money, and you know what I mean, because maybe investing money in financial freedom is more important to you later on. So it's kind of like that. It kind of subconsciously
prioritizes.
Subconsciously, without you even thinking about it, it directs you towards like there's there's it's not a saying, because there's a rhyme or anything, but like a lesson when I used to ride motorcycles, or they even use the same approach to like people who race cars is, and I tell the kids when they ski, I said, where you look, that's where you'll be turning. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's the idea. Like if you're driving down the road and you're looking slightly to the left, just slightly, your car will slowly be merging to the left. That's just kind of the rule of whatever it is. So that's basically what it is. You put those things up, you'll look at that, and naturally your body's going to go, or you are going to go that direction.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, I've been kind of thinking about it. I just don't know what to put on that, and also didn't want you to like tease me when you walk in the office and you see this thing and like.
So cheesy.
Yeah.
Well, I can do it too. We can have both of our. By the way, why are your feet so blue?
You think they're blue?
That one is.
Yeah. Well, they're cold, and I've been wearing boots all day.
The other one is fine. This one.
Well, it's been kind of like this.
Oh, maybe the circulation. I'm like, are you okay? Are you dead? It's first of all, it's super pale, and it's like blue.
No, tell me my feet are pretty.
That one's fine.
That one's fine.
So pretty.
This is the foot that I would put if I did a fans only account and like into feet. That's the. That would be the foot.
Do your right foot. Always.
You know, I started getting a few. So I've always been getting these weird DMs from people. The girls knocked it off. I used to get a bunch of girls writing me, and I just like not even.
They knocked it off.
Well, like, and they just didn't. They like I haven't got one in forever. But then guys for a longest time like would like hit me up, like, you know, gay guys, and like they'd like say you know, hey, send us pictures of, you know, I would here's what one sent me the other day. He said, I would honestly buy your dirty underwear.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. This was like a week or two ago, and then. For a while, I had guys asking me for some feet pictures.
That is so weird.
That was strange, but yeah, I have an interesting.
Pictures of your feet.
But the dirty underwear is weird because I get it with I heard
why
that's
dirty?
Like a big thing. Well, I don't think they mean like shit stains on it or anything like that. I think they mean like used, you know, sweat and stuff like that.
So they can smell you, the real
they can
you,
smell
and all of you.
Disgusting.
Gross.
That's disgusting. I know they do that with girls. But I think it's more of like a sexual thing, which, I mean, maybe they do that with guys' sexuality as well, which I don't. A guy sweating in his underwear is a guy's underwear. Like today, after I was building that shower, do the renovation, and I hopped in the shower right before this. That is the most disgusting thing you could like you can't throw that.
There's nothing sexual about that.
There's absolutely nothing sexual about that. Nothing sexual. And so it's just kind of interesting to me when people go like, hey, I'll legitimately would pay you money for your dirty underwear. I'm like, what?
Maybe this is just a saying. Yeah.
But listen, if it makes me money, it'll make me money, right? I mean, financial freedom is important to me.
Okay. Venmo me $25. It's yours.
I think that's literally what they charge is like $25, like the whole underwear industry.
The underwear industry.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go first about goals.
Okay.
For 2021. My first one. And I intentionally kind of decided on it, is I want to be better at how do I phrase this? I started telling myself to not to overreact to things that I can't control.
Mm-hmm. Like me being late to things.
Right. But like that's a prime example. So like
every time we leave the house,
things that I can't control, how do I get myself to a point that I can only react, I can only control. There's a way of saying it, and I've heard it before. And there's people out there screaming, listening to this, like this is what it sounds. But it's the idea is, if it's something that I can't control, it's out of my control, then I shouldn't give it like a minute, you know what I mean, like of my reaction. So I shouldn't be bothered by things that I cannot control. I think there's like a Pinterest poster that says like,
I know, I'm trying to like think
something that won't matter in 5 years, don't give it 5 minutes today or something like that, or something that won't matter in a year. And so that was my kind of thing, is like, because my mood really fluctuates based off of like what other people do, like if well, you just said about being late, and that's not like you've been better, but I've been better because of the baby. Really, right? And we spoke about it since the baby. I've kind of had this weird conversation with myself. Yeah, I used to be very bothered if we needed to go somewhere. I'm like, okay, you know, I give everybody a countdown. But with the baby, something clicked in my head. I was like, I just think that I think it's just expected that we're going to be late now.
Yeah,
like,
third kid, shoot.
So yeah, so that was my thing. I was like, so I've been trying to practice that. I'm not. I mean, I just recently started implementing it. There's already a few situations that happen. So, and I kind of tell myself in the midst of it, when I'm already kind of being irritated and bothered by it, and I'm driving with a sour mood, I kind of try to talk to myself, and I go, if it's this is something that you cannot control, it's out of your control. This just happened. So the only thing you can control is how you respond to this. And so I'd have those conversations with myself. And my goal with it is, because it's a whole year thing, I expect that the conversation I would have with myself trying to talk me down would take maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes today. And hopefully by the end of the year, it'll be more of just a thought, or a minute, be like, hey, listen, just what are you doing? Okay, makes sense. That's irrational of me. So that's my 2021 New Year's goal. That's a good one. That's a really good one.
It's a really good one.
What's yours? And don't tell me, be like, I want to just read more.
Yeah. I want to wake up with an inspirational quote and then
Did you see?
Do some yoga.
Did you see? I think I showed it to you. Somebody reposted from Pinterest. It said like, taking care of yourself in the new year. Wake up, lay in bed and think about yourself. Journal. And then it goes like journal. It's like a list. Journal. Stretch. Take a bath. Enjoy a cup of coffee. Journal, read a book, go for a walk, eat something healthy, compliment yourself, call a friend. And then she wrote, the gal that reposted it, she goes, and then when am I supposed to feed my kids and go to work?
Seriously.
I died. I died, man.
That's an all-day thing.
Yeah, that literally was an 8-hour day.
Out of control.
So what do you got?
Oh, I just lost it. I had one.
No, you did not. Don't try to. Oh, I did. Good one. What is it?
One of mine, that's going to be a real struggle. That's why I have to say it number one.
Is it mornings?
I don't think I can even put that as
you can't
resolution, because it's never gonna happen.
Being a morning person.
It's not like I'm not a morning person. I just can't wake up before 7, 6.
Oh, don't even put that. You woke up 5 times and that's it. And then after that,
I feel like 7:30 is like my sweet spot. I always wake up a little bit before 8.
How come you're not downstairs till 8:30?
Because I have to go get the baby. I have to change her. I always come downstairs with her.
Okay.
Story. And then also, half the time I'm helping the boys wrangle them, because you've been working out right around that time conveniently.
Well, the idea behind that schedule is that their alarm is set for 7:45. Is I give them instructions that they put their clothes on, brush their teeth.
Half the time they do it. Half the time they're playing in there.
Well, all you have to do is yell at them and tell them your father will
be up here in a minute.
Sweating underwear.
Sweaty underwear. Another t-shirt,
sweaty underwear.
You can have my sweaty underwear.
I have my sweaty underwear.
And
then it says, on the back says
honestly,
$20 is $20.
That should be one of my resolutions, because it's so important. But I feel like if I say it's a goal and it doesn't happen, I am gonna just be like, oh, it's just another thing. Yeah. But one of my like actual goals I want to be better at this year is planning my work schedule better.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Because I feel like in the last like 3 months I've been better at it, and so I started noticing what I've been doing differently. Mm-hmm. And that I think has helped me realize how wrong I was doing things.
Like what?
When it comes to like my process of planning my stages, getting furniture to my stages, actually staging, now bringing Harper with me if I have to, all those things. And I feel like last year I had a lot of moments where I would come home crying because I was so overwhelmed because something went wrong, something didn't happen the way I wanted it to. And I didn't have enough stuff that I had to go get, and I was like freaking out because I'm like, I don't have a big piece of furniture and I can't just go buy one, because a lot of times you can buy small things, but you can't buy like a big dresser last minute, right? And so I felt like I had a lot of moments like that where I knew better. I should have planned better. I should have spaced out like my stages better. And so this year, I think a big goal of mine is to be more prepared.
So strategically, how does that look like when it comes to execution, schedule wise?
I think first of all, I need to have like bigger gaps between, because I have like my inventory, and then I have like a specific amount of inventory that I use specifically for parade homes or like really nice homes, because it's like my nicer stuff. And I think I need to always keep that like little amount of stuff on the back burner. Always have something extra. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't like really planned it out when it comes to my busy seasons, because I think that's where I struggle. Like right now, December, January is kind of like this slower wave, and then it picks up a lot in March, and that's when March, April is when it starts picking up, and that's I think when I start struggling, because it was like it's always I don't have enough stuff. I have to do this date, and then I have to do this date, but I didn't give myself enough time. I think one thing I'm going to start doing is, and I kind of started doing it this year, is because a lot of stages I do alone. Sometimes I have help, but I mean, there's times I don't mind doing it by myself. Giving myself those few extra days to do it, knowing that I'm gonna have to come back because I won't have something, or if something doesn't work out.
Anticipating the problems, basically.
Yeah, and so I think I started doing that a little bit more towards the end of the year, where it's like, okay, I'm giving myself 3 days. So I always tell whoever I'm working with, a realtor, builder, is like, here, I'm going to be staging this date through this date, and then you can hire the photographer to come.
Because you're always chasing the photographer. You're always
I'm always like, they're coming at 10 in the morning. I get there at 6 and finish up till 9:55. And that's where I don't want to be. I don't want to be in a point where I'm rushing, stressing out, have anxiety because I'm, chasing the time. I don't want to be doing that. I want to get there, finish up, and still have time to spare, to where if I want to change something, I have that time, versus just being like, it's fine, and then having to leave.
It's funny. I have demo day usually goes according to plan, right? Because it's a bunch of just disassembling and breaking things and tossing it, and it's a hard day, but it's usually stays within the time schedule. It's a 1 day thing. Tile and what else? And drywall are usually the two that I
set you back.
That I always underestimate.
Yeah.
Every single time I go. Prime example, even right now, I'm going to be starting tiling on the shower here on Monday, and I was like, you know what, tiling, I'm crunching my schedule, tiling is going to be I bet you I can tile that thing up in a day. And then I go, whoa,
yeah, you're trying to like give yourself more credit than like, or you think you can do something like, actually I can get that done quicker. It's fine. It'll be fine.
Like cabinet doors is another one. Like every time, because building cabinet doors is such a process, because you got to prepare the wood, like run it through the joiner, get the grooves in there, and then so that's day one. Day two is you glue it up and clamp it. Day three, it's router, sand, and if you have time, primer, and then the next day after that, it's painting. And that takes so long. And so that's another one. It's like, you don't anticipate it. I've put it on my calendar to be like, okay, day one, cabinet doors. Day two, drawers.
I think I have that tendency to be a little bit too ambitious about how much I can get done in a day by yourself. Yeah. Yeah,
by yourself. By yourself is
that's a big part of it. And I think that's I'll say that for my next one. But planning is a big step in the right direction for me, because I feel like in the last 3-4 months I hit this like better groove. But also the last like 3 times I've staged, I've left Harper with my mom, which has been amazing.
How is that? And I've spoken to you before. How is it that you haven't hired a sitter?
I should. I just, in the beginning, was very ambitious and was like, oh, it's fine. I'll take her with me.
You were like.
And also I was pumping and I had to have her with me because wasn't pumping enough to where I could leave her somewhere. It was just like, I just had enough to feed her. And so I had to have her with me in the beginning. And now I can leave her. And so I think then the holidays hit and stuff. And so now I'm like, it's either I either have my mom, and if she's gone, because she doesn't mind watching her. She'll take a nap with her and stuff. I think she likes it.
Right.
But on the time when my mom is not here, then yeah, for sure we need to.
Definitely, yeah, you definitely need to do that. It's
at least a couple days a week for sure.
Because that's interfering with your.
I'm way more productive, obviously, when she's finances. Not there. I don't mind taking her, if it's like I have to finish something up real quick, which I did that yesterday. I was there for like less than an hour, and it was perfect because she just sat there. But if it's an all-day, event, it's not going to work.
Okay. Well, that's a good one.
Especially now that she's like crawling. I cannot leave her anywhere.
Yeah, she's getting into things.
She was trying to get I was getting ready in the bathroom, and she got under the cabinet.
She went under the cabinet?
Yeah. And then she tried to pick her head up and hit her head and started crying. So it's like, but she's like finding wires and batteries, and I'm like, okay, we need to like really
do what? Not let the baby go under the cabinet?
No. The boys keep leaving stuff everywhere, and so we have to really.
You know how they can't leave stuff in our room? Not let them come in the room.
Well, you can't not let them come in the living room.
Oh, easy. Watch this. Hey,
living room?
Living room?
I'm talking about our living spaces.
Our
like
living room.
She's finding these little like toys and stuff that they're leaving around.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, what's your next one?
My next one. Okay, so my next one, it's a little bit. It's nothing too new because I've kind of touched about it on multiple podcasts. But my third one is a good one. But before I get on my third one, okay, here I'll go on this one, and then my third one, maybe I'll wrap it up with. My next one is I've always wanted to invest money, but for a while there was no money to invest. So I was like, how do you start investing? And I thought the way to invest was always like, the real estate market and stuff like that, and you need a substantial amount of capital to get started with that. So. And it wasn't until we sell our house to kind of get into that. And then I started realizing through some of the conversations we had with our friends about the stock market and seeing how he does it and how the success that he's had and the failures obviously too, but it was definitely something that's always been, the stock market has been always on my mind ever since I think I was like 16, but obviously money was never there. And then finally I went to college and money was still not there. And then I graduated from college and got a job, and, we got pregnant, had a kid. So money's not there. You know what I mean? All this stuff. And then finally I feel like we've put some
saved
money,
enough.
we saved some money aside just because of the way our budget is set up, where we spend less than we make, or we save more than we spend. And so it's just sitting there. And he was basically telling me, he's like, it's so, because we grew up in that immigrant mindset where you're supposed to just sit on that cash, you know what I mean?
You're supposed to hide it under your bed.
Cash is king. But he was like, it's going to sit in your savings account. Yeah, you feel good that it's there or that you have that growing number, but you think about it, you're getting like basically less than 0.25% interest rate return on it. And so
it's nothing.
It's pennies. And not to say I took all the money, but invested it, but I took a hefty amount and I put it into stocks, and I started, kind of going the conservative route, found some of these really conservative stocks like, Tesla or Peloton, all these ones. And then I found someone that are, up and coming and whatever. But anywho, the moral of the story is my New Year's resolution goal was to invest money. And I've been kind of at it already since I legitimately bought stock Christmas, 2 days before Christmas, or New Year's Day.
Yeah.
That's literally, like that.
So you're like, this is going to be a resolution done.
Let's do it right now. Yeah. Right. And that's why we're going back to, it's like, I'm such let's execute.
Yes.
Let's execute.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just dream about it. Let's what's the first, if it's the baby step, it doesn't matter. But what is the absolute first step? If one day you want to be on Broadway, well, you should pick up some kind of, first step is open up and Google, internet and find a local studio or YMCA class that you can go take. You know what I mean? Like find something. That's your first step. So that was my first step. I was like, well, that's why. Is that my New Year's resolution? Get an account, create a portfolio, and then, see what you can do. Buy into the conservative stuff, Microsoft, all that stuff. And then, which their stock is stupid expensive. So that means you're not buying a lot. And then you're going to start looking at, but it's also not losing you a bunch of money. You're already making more money than your savings account. And then after that, you start looking up the up and coming people. So now you start diversifying your funds, where it's like you have this conservative thing where it's like, if these small, quick stocks fall, these conservative ones are still keeping you up, so it's balancing your portfolio. And so it's kind of fun for me. It's kind of like this podcast. I feel like I've grown my YouTube in a way that it's scaled, and it's an operating machine. Now it's, as long as I come up with good content and I keep showing up, we're just gonna keep trucking along and growing. And so a little bit of that sparkle is kind of gone, right? Where you're like crunching your numbers, and it's nice because it gives you a little bit of peace of mind where you're not staring at a screen of your analytics every single waking moment. So now it's like, it was like to the podcast. It's like, how are our podcast numbers doing? I was like, oh wow, they're growing. Oh wow, this is cool. People are engaging. And this is like another new thing for me where I get to wake up. I've already, I'm back to having my 5:30 a.m. wake up calls. So I wake up at that. I make my coffee from the market opens up at like 7:30. So from 6:30 to 7:30, I'm reading all the news of all the stocks that I own, see what the companies are doing. I'll read up and coming stocks or whatnot, or upcomings, and just plan out. And the market opens up. I already put my bids in place, or my purchases. Market opens up, boom, it bought it, and that's it. Then I go work out, and you know what I mean. So it's a fun thing to constantly look. Like I'll tell you, hey, we're up this much or we're down this much. So it's kind of a cool, fun thing, and to me, it gives me peace of mind to know that, like Mike put it really good.
It's like a long-term investment.
It's a long-term. It's not a daily. I'm not flipping stocks daily. It's more of like, I'm probably not going to sell these stocks for a year before, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's you should listen to the podcast with Mike, because it was cool, because Mike's well established in the YouTube world. He's just approaching almost 2 million subscribers on them. He was just telling me his kind of walk through his journey through YouTube, because him and Ben and a couple other people were like some of the original people in that space of makers. And I was telling him how appreciative I am that him and Ben to like invite people when I was a young YouTuber or a small account. He invited us to go hang out with them and stuff like that. And he put it this way. He goes, people are always evolving. There's new players basically in the game, if you want to put it that way, of YouTube. And the idea is somebody's always going to bring something new to the table. And if you don't keep moving, you will fall behind. So if you're doing the same thing, like if you're just doing YouTube, or you're just working, at a whatever company you want to work for, and all you're doing is something, but your peers are now buying investment properties, or are creating videos that no more voiceovers, but they're doing more camera work. Right. They're entertaining people. They're creating that rapport with people. They're taking a whole different spin on projects. If you're not moving, you're going to be left behind. And I really like that he said that. And so for me, that whole investing part was that mindset. The next step? It's like, if I don't move right now, because then I'm going to be left behind. And so it was cool. It was really exciting. So that's my New Year's resolution, and I'm already executing on it.
Nice. Look at you go.
Okay, what's your number 2?
Did I?
You haven't done number 2. You did 1.
My next one was to I want also to, on top of like,
I also want to invest stocks.
I also too as well would like to invest in stock.
There, that's mine. So you
there's
next.
Mine. Okay. Yes.
Back to you.
I think on going back to doing better job planning, I also want to have more help. And that means I want more movers who can help me and are flexible with time and moving at certain whatever time of day or whenever. And then I want help with staging during my like busy season. So I had like kind of like an assistant before, but I think I went about it the wrong way because staging is so flexible and sporadic, I guess. There's not like set hours, so I can't promise somebody a certain amount of hours a week or even a month. There's no way, because I don't know how many jobs I'm going to get. I have like a average amount of stagings I do, but that's not always the case. Some months could be like, I don't know why I only have like a couple, or and so I can't promise somebody that. But what I've noticed some other people do is just hire basically kind of like a contractor. That's what you would call it, right?
Yeah. They're a contracted person.
Yes, they're just a contracted person who come help you if they're available, and then you just pay them that day when they're done with the job, and that's it. And so I want to have like a handful of people that I can go to, because if one can't do it, I can go to another person, and that way almost every time I stage I can have some help, whether it's like with assembling, especially big jobs. Like,
so it's like you want like a pool of people that you can tap into for help, basically, like a free agent.
And I have a couple already, which I love, because sometimes they're available and sometimes they're not. But then I know that if I don't come to them for like a couple months, they're not like looking for work, because they're doing their own stuff too.
That's a good way of doing it.
Yeah, and I love that, because then I don't feel like bad that I'm not using them. But honestly, sometimes I do a house by myself. If it's a small house, I really don't need the help. Like I did this super small 1,400 square foot home by myself, and it was great. I didn't need help besides movers coming in. I had to do only one bed and like a living room and a kitchen and dining, right? It's not a big job. But when it comes to a huge parade home where I'm doing 4 bedrooms, I would love to have that help. And so I think my goal is to have at least maybe like 5 people where I can just text and be like, hey, are you available this day?
How many people do you have right now?
I think 2, maybe 3.
Huh.
Yeah.
And you want to get to 5? That's what you want to get to?
Yeah, hopefully more, but I think 5 is a good number.
I think it's a cool, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but like in that kind of industry where, sometimes your job will start at 3 p.m. and sometimes it'll start at 8 a.m. And it's just a matter of when the movers are available and when the house is available and when you're available. So there's so many moving parts. So yeah, it's completely... It's almost impossible to have people on retainer to be like, hey, we're just going to it.
Yeah.
The people have to have some kind of other thing that they're keeping busy with, and they're always looking for extra side work.
Yeah. And that's why I can be flexible with like hours and stuff. If they're like, oh, I can't come on this day, but I actually can come on the next day. And I'm like, oh, that's fine. As long as it works within my range of trying to stage before they want it listed, the house, then it's fine. Yeah. And then obviously with movers, I kind of want the same thing. Have like a pool of movers that I can ask to, especially because it doesn't happen super often, but there's times where it's like a very last minute staging where I have to ask somebody a day or 2 before. And so I would like to be able to do that and not be like asking you to come.
I'm not a fan of.
You're not.
I'm not a fan of it, and I don't know if we ever spoke about it. I'm not a fan of coming and helping because
you're too busy.
I just don't like it. Yeah. It's just I have my own schedule that I stick to, and I'm always...
It throws you off.
It throws me off.
Like, it'd be like the same thing if I was in the middle of staging a house and you asked me to come decorate a bathroom for you in the middle of like my work day. I totally get it.
It's exactly the case.
Totally get it.
But you also kind of have to treat it like, I think any even your own... I think any small business... or any business period, you have to set these schedules where these are your work schedules, and it's not that you're flexible, that you're like, oh, if somebody wants to meet me for lunch, we're meeting for lunch. That's cool, but overall, if this is a machine, the machine has to function.
Hours, yeah.
The machine has to function, you know what I mean? And so this kind of jumps back to my number 3. It's I want to scale this thing in a way where it's no longer dependent on... I don't want to say no longer dependent on me. I want this, whatever business I am scaling, this YouTube business, because the people that are doing this with me, whether it's the agent or the videographer or whatever, I want it to be done in a way where everybody has a role that they're doing, and I have a role, and the less roles I have.
Yeah, because right now you have like 5.
Before I had 10, now I have 5.
Yeah.
And that's great, you know. And I think that allows for you to open up this bandwidth to be like, okay, now I'm gonna do stock trading too, you know. And so it allows you to take. If I can just show again, you got to listen to the camera, the podcast with Mike, because he was talking about like an example of like how do you scale up, and he goes, he's an example of Rachel Ray, right? And I don't know why he used Rachel Ray of all the people, but but it's
maybe
still
she's his celebrity crush.
Maybe, you know, Kelly Clarkson. That's what you know what I mean. Yeah. No, who was that? Kelly something. Kelly Ripa. No. Who's that? Kelly something show. It's kind of like a Jerry Springer, Maury Povich, but it was like a Kelly something. She was a brunette gal, Kelly.
The only person I can think of is it's not Kelly. It's
who was it?
Oh my gosh, she had like short
black hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's her name?
It wasn't
It's not Kelly. It will come to me.
Yeah, it came to somebody for sure. So
what is her? Now it's gonna bother me.
It's gonna bother you. Well, so but the idea is who's the example he used? Mike, who did he say?
Rachel Ray.
Rachel Ray. He goes, Rachel Ray has this cooking channel. If the machine that demands for you to create content and it's running requires Rachel Ray every day, you have to cook and be on camera, and to create more content. And the example he uses is like, well, she can't cook every day, and she can't be on camera every day. Like that's too many things to do. And then his theory was like, well, what if you just talked? And then somebody else does the cooking, and it's like, now you're talking. Like now you're creating this. You're giving another part in the machine to do its thing, so you can do something else. Like you're just focusing on one thing, and that's your thing. And I thought that was really brilliant, because I was having a conversation with Kyle about this. It's like, how do we? And we look at other people in our space that are doing really cool things, specifically in productivity. Like John Malecki is a prime example. I hate him to his guts all the way, but and he's
from
the
the
worst.
Top of your heart to the bottom of your heart.
Yeah, to the bottom of my heart. I hate him throughout my entire heart. He's the worst, and everybody knows that. But he does really good execution on scaling his business, where there's people that do the work, and he's got episodes of YouTube videos that came out that he wasn't even in him. And I don't know how they performed against some of his other content, but that was impressive to me that, like, you know, he had Sam and Jordan and somebody else in his shop that were doing the building and the editing and the recording. And I don't know if the audience loved it or not, but I just love the fact that he set it up and things like that, big steps like that. Eventually people execute on them. You know what I mean? Execute on them, and it grows in an audience. So it's not to say like if one time they did it and the views weren't as big as some of his, 500,000 view videos, doesn't mean it didn't perform well. Yeah. It just means that maybe the content's still cooking. You know what I mean? Like it's still growing our audience. So I was talking to Kyle about us, my videographer, and I was like saying like, hey, what do you think? Like, what do we think if we were to feed this machine somehow? And maybe it's a role where I hire on a person who helps me with the hands-on stuff. So if Kyle's doing the camera work and the editing, and the storytelling, how do we get to the point where like I have extra set of hands that, that's helping me along this project? A great example I told Kyle that kind of came to me was like, you see like Fixer Upper, how they filmed their shows. Every scene starts with when they're in construction is Chip is talking to Joe about, hey, we're having a problem, this looks like a load bearing wall, and he's holding a hammer and he's swinging and blah blah, and he's got a crew there as well, and everybody knows it's no secret. And then the camera work kind of plays in a way where he's like, okay, I'm going to go check it. He checks it. He goes, yeah, okay, we'll take it down. So he starts hammering on it. And then the story continues somewhere else where clearly it's not him.
Or he'll be like doing the tile work, and it will be like time lapse of him for like a second, and then somebody else is tiling. And which is fine.
And nobody complains about it. Nobody's like, Chip didn't really do that. It's just,
we all know.
Everybody knows it's not scalable. Like there's been so many times, even
he cannot do everything himself. There's just no possible way.
Absolutely not. But to be part of a team and have other people help, that's a different story. And so this shower right now we're doing is a prime example. There's so many times where Kyle's just like waiting on me because I didn't do my due diligence and got my supplies ahead of time, right? Or I didn't get the right supplies, or maybe it was a problem. Like, this is my first time doing a shower in the basement of a house. So this is my first time working on concrete floors with the plumbing. And so it's problems I didn't anticipate. And now they're delayed. And now Kyle's waiting on me. But what if we had maybe 2 projects going where we started with me on one, and then somebody else takes over behind scenes, and then I start on another one, and then somebody takes over. So it's like, I don't know what it looks like yet. We're still kind of thinking about what it might look like.
The fact that you're already, that's something you want to start in motion in 2021.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, and I think to a degree, I've started that in motion at the end of 2020 when Kyle came on board as a video camera. Yes, you did. So I think to
continue that.
And one thing,
Ricky Lake.
Is
that it?
That is Ricky Lake. Nice job.
It came to me.
Ricky Lake. Were you not listening to anything else saying?
No, it was racking my brain.
You're hearing. Okay,
all those like 6, 5.
Ricky Lake. Very impressive. Very impressive. Because you look like you're engaged in the conversation.
That's how I do it.
That's what you do. You're good at pretending like
never know.
Now repeat back to me what I told you.
Rah, 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 Kyle. Rah, 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 rah.
More sex. Rah, rah. I didn't say that. So I put that plan in motion, and though this is another fear I have of getting a person here, and what does it look like, and what if I'm wasting my, I'm not keeping them busy or whatever. The fears were the same fears I had before hiring the videographer, and one thing I've learned is that once that decision was made, I have never regretted a day of my life. It's been nothing but, everybody knows on this podcast is how thankful I am for what's going on. So it's like, so I could only imagine. So that's going to be my 2021 goal, is to see what does it look like to get an extra pair of hands.
So if you're interested, DM Mr. Bill.
Well, no, that'd have to be local. Yeah, don't fly over here. Yeah. It's also interesting how many DMs I'd get about people asking to be an apprentice to me, and that they'd move
local
here.
people. Oh, they would move.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, bud.
Do you not have a life and family?
I don't know what you think I pay. You know what I mean? Like, if you're thinking you're like,
apprentice. That's hilarious.
I don't know. It's also maybe just people just trying to get a reaction out of you or something like that.
I think so.
Who knows?
I would move here.
So what's your wrap us up with your third last one?
Number three.
You better be good. Like, bring tears to people.
Ooh. Oh. Well, now I'm on the spot. I don't know.
And you can't piggyback again about planning.
I'm gonna be a better person, a better version of myself.
Better version.
Well, I mean, that's kind of partly true. I do want to this year just go back to being healthy, as I'm here picking my nail polish off my
What's
fingers.
healthy? Like nutrition and
Both.
working out, or healthy like
not like physically healthy. So because I had
not
a baby.
Not physically healthy. That's what you're saying.
No, physically healthy.
Oh, you're okay regarding physical health. Okay.
Which, bleeds into mental health.
Don't say baby and then bleeds. Okay. Use a different transition.
Transfers. I don't know. It just doesn't sound as good. But I think when you are physically healthy, it definitely I can't think of a word, but like it you can see it positively in
it flows over.
Bleeds, flows, whatever.
Why bleed?
Because I'm a woman.
I get it. You're a mother.
You see it in all aspects of your life. And so it's been 6 months since I had heartburn. So I think I finally got to a point where I'm like, I miss being just like, not that I'm like want to be a certain number or figure or whatever, but I felt like right before I had her, I felt really good. Like I was running consistently. We were eating really healthy. And I feel like mentally I felt like really healthy, because running helps you really think through your thoughts a lot. And so I think, it seems like a typical goal. Oh, I just want to, it's a new year, new me. I want to get, toned and work, all the things. But I think for me, it's a bigger goal because I had a baby and I want to be a better version of myself again.
Right. Well, I get it. It's because I don't think with you
and
that
I think
applies.
we also in the last like 3 months have been eating not great, and so I think it's like
the
holidays, yeah, which it's fine, but
that's fine.
It's fine.
I think what you're trying to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's you. We weren't gonna have more kids. Well, the idea, because I was against it, and then finally I opened up to it, and I was really excited about having more kids, and then we started trying for having kids, and we were so excited that we had a girl because we've always wanted a girl, and where you were. I wouldn't say we ate really clean. I think we ate fine.
I mean, we'd have a cheat meal and stuff,
Right.
but I think
the running,
majority,
because you ran and I ran.
Yeah, but I think if we were to like compare ourselves to like typical average American, we were eating pretty healthy.
Correct. Yeah, we didn't have chips in the house or anything like that. But
no, we didn't even eat really like. We never ate bread or pasta really,
correct.
Unless it's a cheat meal.
Overall, I think you're right. We were clean, but I think what really put you, because you're a very competitive person. Now, I don't see that translating in marriage. Like, you've never tried to like show me up on things or anything like that. But I've seen you always do that either with board games or athleticism. Even skiing. Like, and we've talked about this before. It's like if we both started skiing at the same time. If I'm in front of you, you always kind of set that pace there and you're having fun.
Yeah.
But if I fall down and you pass me, you never let me pass.
I go 100 miles an hour.
You don't let me pass. And I don't care because I'm like, it doesn't, because I'm not a competitor.
I'm first, yeah.
Because with sports, I'm not competitive at all. And so it's kind of funny how that works. And so when we were running, because I set myself up to do I don't remember if it was a Roby Creek half marathon.
No, before that you did just a regular half.
Just a regular half marathon, and I was training for it, and you saw me doing that, so you kind of did this thing like, how many miles did you do today? This much. You're like, okay, I'm gonna try doing that as well. And so we both stayed on the same. We both stayed on the same regiment. Yeah. And I think that.
And then when I was pregnant, I couldn't do that.
Well, obviously that transitioned to pregnancy, right? So that we're going to do this. It's going to be a last hoorah. And so you're probably contemplating like, oh, I remember when.
I don't want to go. Yeah. It's
you want to go back to that part.
You kind of want to go back.
Well, I think people should want to go back. I mean, that's like I was in a different place too. You know what I mean? Like even physically. Yeah. So I think, but we also are doing something about it. Like I don't know if we told him it, but why don't you tell him what we're doing? Month of January. I don't
know what we're doing. I'm just doing me.
You're just doing, yeah. What are we doing month of January?
We're doing dry January and a fitness challenge with some of our friends. That means
no sweating at all. Okay, you have to be completely dry.
Always.
No showers.
Always have to be dry.
Yeah.
No, so no drinking at all this entire month, and no, and we're also doing like a fitness challenge with our friends. Yep. And so we all did 6 people, $100 buy-in, and we all got weighed and did our whole body fat percentage.
Yep.
What is it called?
Yeah, it's just called body percentage.
Well, the whole thing, because they do not just body fat percentage, but it's like everything.
It's like a body analysis.
Analysis,
sure.
Yeah. And we all did that, and so at the end of the month, or no, we did January 3rd to February 3rd. Yeah. And at the end, whoever has lost the most body fat percentage.
Yep.
Because
we don't have somebody in the group that's like
so lean.
You're an ultra lean person that they can't afford it. Like we all can afford to lose body fat percentages.
Yeah. We all felt like we needed to do this, and so it will be a fun way to start this journey of.
And we're about a weekend, and no shakes from no alcohol, no sweating, no.
For me, it's been sugar. I cannot. It's been so hard not to eat like cookies, and because we don't do. Generally we don't do a ton of carbs, but we always have like cookies in the house or chocolate or ice cream, and it's like
that's hard.
That's been hard.
It's hard. I actually had it I think yesterday or the day before, where I was like, I think 2 days ago, I was like, I want something sweet. And you found those bars from like the Coop or something like
bars,
that, where they're like they're called one bars.
They're like keto friendly.
They are, man. They have
20 grams of protein.
20 grams of protein, which is like a protein shake. They taste delicious. They have like 1 gram of sugar.
Yeah.
And it's enough to satisfy the palate.
It's enough, yeah, because there's it's chocolate in it, and so
the booze and everything else is easy because you're like the people that we're doing this with are the people that we usually have alcohol with. You're not doing it, so it's like
Yeah.
I have
You're all
zero
together.
temptation, so I'm like whatever.
Yeah.
It's more harder to like physically be like, oh, I gotta work out with no days off kind of thing.
The working out part, yeah, every day, because I'm sore every day, and then I have to go work out again because we have to do it every day.
And our watches are all Apple watches, so we always get notified when another person finishes a workout. So this girl
Dang it.
night, I went to bed last night.
I had to close my rings, and so you
did
10
6
o'clock.
miles.
No, not
5
6.
miles. 5 miles.
No, I didn't.
Oh, maybe you just didn't reset the treadmill.
Oh, I probably didn't reset it. I did not do. I did maybe 1.5, 2. Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
I was like, wow, like
Wow, you're impressed, huh?
Yeah. Well, but it says also an hour long, and I was like, well, she walked it out.
No, it was like I only did like 20.
Yeah, so it's fun. It's fun. So I mean, we're getting there. We're starting the year the right way.
Yeah.
I think we're all mentally kind of going back to a place of like, you know, where we were physically. And there's something important to be said. I think being in your 30s, because there's not a lot of people that really watch their weight in their 30s and their lifestyle. More people do it in their 20s, and so I think it's nice to get back into that refresher mindset.
Yeah, and I mean, we both enjoy like skiing and sports, and I like being able to keep up with my kids, and I think that helps me too, like being physically active.
Yeah, but you shouldn't. I don't like when people say. I believe when people say I want to keep up with my kids are either when people are are elderly or older. Like I'm not gonna say 60s elderly, but just like in their 50s, 60s. Like you don't move as you did in your 20s and 30s. So when people like in that age group go like I want to keep up with my kids, I get it. Or people who are obese, you know, who are like or who are physically are having a hard time getting up a flight of stairs or something like that. But you're in your 30s, you can't be like, I want to keep up with my kids.
When I was pregnant, after I was pregnant, I could barely go up the stairs.
Really? Oh.
So I feel like with how active our kids are, I got to keep up with them.
How are you keeping up? I'm always wrestling with them. And I'm always on
but I also feel like
how are you keeping up with them?
As they get older, it's going to be harder and harder to keep up with them.
But I don't think you're ever going to be at a point where you're like, oh, I can't walk after my kid.
Yeah. Maybe if they're running.
I think if anything, it has to be always done for your own sake of like
mental, physical, all of it, health.
I have to be happy with how I feel, how I look, how I think, and so I think it's just for us.
It's super important, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I feel like that's so cliche. I almost didn't want to say it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got through it. I like it.
You got through it.
All right. This is good. I like this.
What about we didn't get through like? Well, maybe the next one we can do like So we did 2020 goals. Maybe we should do like long-term goal.
Well, like, I think we'll do an episode of that.
Like 5-year goal.
Sure, we'll do that. Let's do.
Because I have some good ones of those that.
Okay. We'll do an episode of that. But next episode we're gonna do because people keep asking me and DMing me.
It's not called that anymore.
What's it called now?
We have to change it. We haven't thought of anything.
Well, I have to call it until it changes.
Because it's not a flip. It's more like. Help me with my awkward space. Okay. Awkward spaces.
Okay. That's what it's been. Oh, okay.
No, you used to call it flip the space.
Okay, fine. Okay, guys, we're doing another edition of
Awkward Spaces.
Awkward Spaces.
Awkward Spaces.
So, like we did before, send your submissions. A picture or two of an awkward space. Could be a weird hallway. Could be a weird nook.
Could be a weird uncle.
Send it in, and then we will show it on the video portion of the podcast. You'll have to listen to it on the podcast and be described this, but if you want to watch it, you can do it. It'll be on our YouTube channel, Next Door Neighbors podcast, and we will go through all the submissions, as many as we can.
What's the email?
It's hello at the Next Door Neighbors.
.com.
Send your submissions. We'll look over them. We'll show them up here, and then we'll give you both of our take about what we would do.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it last time. So send them in.
Some people actually did what we told them to do, and
that was cool.
They're really happy. Awesome. All right, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, review. That helps a lot on the Apple Podcast and whatever podcast app you use. Share with your friends. We'd like to grow this thing.
Yep.
Be better, folks. Be better.
Your best you.
Wow. Thanks, Tony Robinson. All right, guys. Love you. Bye.
Bye.